Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Seeds of Transformation podcast with Dr. Allma Johnson. I'm your host, Dr. Allma, and today we are diving into a powerful and practical topic that everyone needs to hear: bridging the gap, the blueprint for financial freedom. And I am excited to have a very special guest with me today, Mr. Mark Purnell, a certified investment management analyst, financial expert, and someone who believes that God's principles should be the foundation of financial success. In this two-part series, Mr. Purnell will take us on a journey through building generational wealth, how to manage financial risk, and most importantly, how biblical principles guide us toward true financial stewardship and freedom. If you're serious about securing your financial future while staying true to your Christian values, then this is the series for you. So grab your Bible, grab your notepad, and get ready to receive some powerful and life-changing insights. Let's do it, y'all. You guys, we're going to get right into the topic of today. And Mark is a financial advisor for over 35 plus years. Matter of fact, Mark, why don't you just tell the audience who you are, what you have been able to do for the 35 plus years and counting, and how you've been able to help people in their financial success.
Okay, sure, Alma. It's my pleasure to be with you and to join you on this podcast. We are a part of the Empower Group, which is a company that I've recently started. It's been about 5 years now, and our real goal is to help families build generational wealth. And we like to teach people how to do that. It's something that as you mentioned, I've done for about 35 years now. I've been a wealth advisor. I've managed money. I managed over $120 million for high net worth clients. Now we're focused on more of the average individual that may not have millions of dollars. And we try to be very comprehensive in what we do. We're talking about mortgage protection, long-term care, life insurance, health insurance. It's all the things that go into a typical financial plan and financial issues that families face. So, it's we like to teach, we like to share, and we have a network of financial professionals that can help in that regard. So that's what we do. That's how we do it. And it's an exciting time to be talking about finances and how it blends into the rest of our lives.
Yes.
Because it is the financial markets today are pretty volatile, and we're going into what I think some very interesting times. So I'm glad to be with you.
Thank you, and thank you again. So Mark has he has sent it out, and I'm going to share it too, his thoughts and his outlooks, which I found very, very strategic for everyone. This is something that I feel everyone needs to be a part of, read, and actually put into place so that you are financially ready. But I do have some questions for you, Mark, from that document that I will share with the audience as well. The first question is, we want to know, everybody wants to know, what are the key money strategies during tough times with inflation and uncertainty? What are we doing? What do we do?
Well, there's a couple of basic concepts. And it's always good to get back to basics, right? It's always back to basics. And some of those basics involve budgeting. It's something that, even though I've been doing this for my own personal affairs, I always kind of look at a year and see, well, what would my budget be? Am I thinking I'm going to spend $5,000, $6,000 a month in today's market for me to live? And that's how I run my household. Start with budgeting. and having an idea of what you want to spend every month. And then you monitor it. Another important concept is diversification. And
Yes.
I'm through diversification, having a variety of assets, not just being in the stock market, not just being in the bond market, not just being in banking assets like certificates of deposit.
Yes.
So true diversification typically would include, and many financial professionals and a lot of financial consumers ignore basic like precious metals, like life insurance, and some of those, and real estate, of course. In America, home is another important part of that. So diversification is across all of those various assets that we've talked about. And then another key component today is risk management. Now, I know in one of the scriptures you're going to talk a little bit about that Proverbs 22:3, which talks about being prepared. Now, no one expects that they're going to get into um, uh, incur cancer, right? I've been on a cancer journey. I didn't plan on it. Nobody in my family had it, but I had made plans that if it did come into my world, into my financial life, I would had a plan in place. So risk management, not just from a portfolio standpoint, but from a life plan standpoint. And this pandemic has really brought that out.
Oh,
That we
yes.
had to go through that. So those are some of the basic strategies that I think are important today. Again, budgeting, diversification are essential strategies. Risk management. Those are the things that I would encourage people to think about. And that's where a financial advisor or someone that you can talk through about this, because we all have blind spots, Alma. We all, and we tend to not see a blind spot. That's by definition, that's what it is, right? So having someone help us think about, well, what if your parents have to come live with you? What if you get laid off from a job? What if you make a bad investment choice and you got to start all over again? So hopefully that helps think about that. What are the key strategies? And there is one more. We've lived in pretty prosperous times.
Yes.
What if tough times come our way? And I just don't mean us personally, but the societal and our country. What if we enter in tough times? Because we are clearly seeing unprecedented activities and unprecedented political environments, economic environments, weather environments. As we speak, there's a hurricane approaching the Gulf states right now. So tough times do come and will come, and we should be prepared for them.
Absolutely. And the scripture that Mark was referring to is Proverbs 21 in verse 5, that says, "The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteous, but of everyone that is hasty, only to want." And this is what he was just speaking to. Yes, being prepared, removing the blind spots. Do we know everything? We got to link up, be together. Unity is so valuable right now, to learn from the people who've been in there, like Mark, 35 plus years and ongoing. So thank you for that, Mark. That was great. Another question that I have for you is, why is it better to stick with long term? Not a lot of people want to hear about the long term things, but why is it better to stick with long term money plans instead of reaching a quick market? Can you share an example or a little bit more about that?
Sure. If it were easy enough, right, to make $1 million in a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be awesome. But in my 35, 40 years of studying millionaires, how do people accumulate wealth? There's a few life events, a few entertainers, athletes, entrepreneurs get an idea and it hits off right away. But there's far more people, in my observations, there's far more people, who can accumulate great wealth over a longer period of time. And um, it helps with your decision process. And the decision process meaning that in order to do something very quickly, you have to be at the right spot, the right time, and
Yeah.
make all the right decisions. And a lot of people just don't, aren't that fortunate. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, being in investments over a longer period of time has proven to be less risky because you have
Mm-hmm.
to make less and fewer decisions.
Yes, yes, yes. I hear you on that one. And just as you were saying, there are some times when the quick change will come, but just depending on the quick change can be very risky. I've been there with the quick
Yeah.
changes, and they've been quick, they've been good, but long term, no, we still need to have those things for long-term placement that can still accumulate, moving forward. My next question is for you, and it's going to come from Proverbs 4:7. The previous question, if you're wondering, yes, I took that question from Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8. But my third question for you, Mark,
Mhm.
is why is understanding finances important? A lot of times people will jump into something. They don't even know what it is, what they jumped into, how it works, all of those things. But so why is understanding finances so important? And what basic money tips should people know today?
One of the greatest investors of our time
Mm-hmm.
is Warren Buffett. And he has shared many, 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 uh, um, I'll call them pearls of wisdom with regard to investing. And some of the basic ones, I'm going to share two of them if I can, is don't lose money, right? You work hard for your money, you accumulate money, you inherit money. Your objective is not to lose it. That's rule number one, right? And rule number two is don't forget rule number one. Okay? So, another one of his basic premises is don't invest in anything that you don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? Over the years, I've heard people say, oh, I've got this new idea, and
Yeah.
so, and they told me it, this and that. And I say, well, I ask him a question
Mm-hmm.
about it. He said, well, I don't fully understand it. That's what we don't want to do.
Yeah.
We want to understand basic workings of what we invest in. And for example, one of the reasons I love gold and silver, and my grandfather started me when I was a small kid in the 60s, and he would explain to me that this is real. Gold and silver were put on this earth by God. It's real estate. It just doesn't have a title like or a deed, but it is real estate, and it has proven over the last 5,000 years
Mm-hmm.
to be that. So gold and silver are assets. Well, what else do you need to understand about that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Pretty simple when we think about it in those terms.
Mm-hmm.
You
Absolutely.
want and need to protect it. You don't want to lose it. Because if you lost it, there's no deed or title. So you do have to protect it. But that's a basic understanding that you can get. And so investment strategy, understanding what your risks are. You don't want to lose your money because you worked hard for it. You're going to invest it. you want to have a strategy that thinks about not losing it, but also something that you can comprehend and understand. And so, one of Warren Buffett's favorite for years, he was a large shareholder of Coca-Cola
Uh-huh.
and See's Candy, and he says those are parts of things that everybody invests or purchases in their normal day. You know, how many people have a break and they have a Coke? How many people want a piece of sweetness in their life and so they have a piece of chocolate candy? Right? Those are basic things. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out as to
Right.
what is the investment strategy. Insurance is another one. Insurance has been around for, again, the thousands of years. When we think about, back in the way that African Americans got to this country, they came on ships, and that passage was insured
Yeah.
from Africa to this country. There were people insuring the ships and the cargo, which was, people, obviously.
Yeah.
And the return back to Europe involved whether it was cotton or teas or other agricultural products. All those products were insured. And so Warren Buffett would say it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one other aspect that I'll just put out here, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about it more, is that we all are on this earth for a limited period of time.
Yes.
We're all going to pass on, and and as a result, death insurance is probably something that we can invest in and
Yes.
make the next generation better. That's a Rockefeller concept. That if
I
we
was just going to say that. I read the book, What Would the Rockefellers Do?
uh-huh.
And having the right type of insurance. Don't just go out and get any old kind of insurance. There is insurance policies that are out here to help you to create wealth that the Rockefellers are still living off of today.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It is a concept that we teach at the Empower Group, is that where we try to help people understand that insurance is an asset, it's not an expense. And many people think about, oh, I got to get a good deal.
Mhm.
So I want to spend the least amount on my insurance policy. Well, it's another asset. So you want to have the most money that you can put in there, because it's no different than a bank, except that it's your bank.
Yes, that's a key word there. Your bank. Yeah, we got to talk more about that, Mark.
Yes, yes, yes.
We
You
gotta
got
let
to
the
make
people, we gotta fill the people in on those things. It is your bank.
versus wealth another entity's bank. There's
Yes.
a lot of big banks, and I was associated with one that I'll refer to as the ketchup and mustard company. I was affiliated for most of my career.
Mm-hmm.
Their bank, it's not your bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to be able to understand, and this is another concept of consistent savings. I always make deposits
Mm.
because I want to make withdrawals.
Yes.
So when I want to make withdrawals, I know that I have to make deposits first, which means I can't consume or spend all
Mm.
of my money that I earn. And remember, when we save, we are exchanging our time to generate cash or money that we are not going to use. We're going to use some of it today, but we want to take our time. We've exchanged it for, work, or for, creating a product or whatever. What we generate, we live on some of it, but we defer the remainder of it to the future.
Yes.
So we're putting our time into the future that we can come back to.
Yes.
And I share with people, Alma, that I'm living a dream life, the life
Amen.
I dreamed
Amen.
of because I prepared for it by not consuming everything over the last 35, 40 years.
That part, yeah.
Yes.
Fret not the small beginnings. Don't forget about these small beginnings are important, just as you stated.
Wow, what a powerful start to our series. We've only scratched the surface today, but Mr. Purnell has already given us so much wisdom on what it truly means to build generational wealth, all while staying anchored in our faith. Remember, financial freedom isn't just about how much you earn. It's about being a good steward of what God has given you. If you have found today's discussion valuable, you are going to love what's coming up in part 2 this week, where we will dive deeper into those practical steps, but in a different way. So make sure you stay connected. Until next time, stay inspired and keep growing in all things of God.